Welcome to What's for Lunch with Maisha. I'm here every Thursday showing you how to cook vegetables that I grow fresh in my garden, how to eat healthy, and also drink my water. So today we have something special. Every week we have something special. We've been working hard in the garden, and we've just been getting a lot of vegetables from our hard work. And so this week I have squash. I have this squash. It's called a lemon squash. I grew this in my garden. I have two of these here, and I also have some green beans that I also grew in my garden. I froze these, but I've had so many I had to freeze them. So that's what we're going to eat today. Just vegetables that we grew in our garden. So I'm really excited about that. The first thing we have to do before we get started is, of course, wash your hands. So you need to wash your hands. Whenever you're cooking, you need to wash your hands for 20 seconds in warm water. To make sure that they're super clean because you're dealing with food that you're going to eat. I will also say that if you're going to cook with me, make sure you have your parents tag along. You don't want to get hurt by using, certain tools like knives and, just to make sure that you're safe, and especially when using the stove, ask your parents for permission first, okay? So the first step is let's wash our hands. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go to my sink and wash my hands, okay? And it needs to be warm water. Wash it for 20 seconds. You can count for me. All right. So there we go. I'm going to dry my hands quickly. And we're ready to go. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to turn our heat on to medium heat. And I'm going to put maybe a tablespoon of oil of your choice in the pan. So I'm going to let this heat up a little bit. After that, I'm going to go ahead and add my green beans. So I think I've mentioned this before, but I love vegetables in general, but one of my favorite vegetables is okra. And we're going to make this recipe. You're going to see how I'm going to prepare it, and you're free to prepare it at home with your parents if you want. But just keep in mind that I'm using squash and green beans. You can use any vegetable. I would love to use okra right now, which I do have some in the fridge because I did grow them. But this is about experimentation too. When you're trying new vegetables, especially if you haven't had squash casserole, try the squash and see how you like it. If you know you love green beans, try something different, like, tomatoes or, another vegetable. So I'm going to go ahead and add my green beans. This is on medium heat. Okay, I'm going to put this in the sink. And we're just going to keep stirring around. Just make sure that's stirred. Okay. So I added about a cup of green beans. And I'm going to add 2 medium-sized squash too. So we're going to cook this for about 3 minutes before adding the squash. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to rinse these, and we're going to slice them. We want them to kind of be similar in size and shape as the green bean. The green bean is a little slender, long. So we're going to try to achieve that with this. So I'm going to show you how. Let's rinse them first. A lot of times, if you ever grow your own vegetables at home, you'll notice that there's dirt on it, which is actually cool because it's a mark. It's just a reminder of you actually growing that vegetable and being directly involved. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this down on the board like this way, and we're going to chop off the top and chop off the bottom, okay? This is a tiny piece where the plant grew. I'm going to stir as we go. Looking good. The smell of green beans is really good when it's cooking. All right, so we're gonna chop. And we don't need that. We can add it to the compost later. Same with this one. And there have been times where I've chopped into my squash or cucumbers and I found a caterpillar. So it's really cool. Obviously, don't eat it, but it's really cool to see how close you were to the dirt, and how close your vegetables were to the dirt, and just the growing process. And plants love vegetables just as much as we do. So, all right, so I'm going to try to zoom in. So I'm going to try to show you how to chop this. It's a little too bright, but okay. So we're going to take our squash and we're going to slice it down the middle. We're going to face it up, place it on our board, and slice it down the middle. Very carefully. We're going to keep it in its shape and we're going to turn it 90 degrees. So basically 90 degrees, right? And we're going to do the same on the opposite side. So horizontally and then vertically. We're going to chop it in half. Okay. Now we're going to have these individual little wedges here. And we're going to slice these in half. Okay. All right. Now you have these wedges that have been sliced in half. I'm going to slice mine in half again. Make sure when you're using a knife, when you're cutting with whatever hand you're cutting with, make sure that your pointing finger is firm on the top and that you're holding it a little bit tightly, not too tight though. And then make sure the other hand is clawed so that you don't accidentally cut your hand. Okay, I'm going to stir here. It's looking really good. Okay, I'm going to cut these in half again. And so it's almost like it's going to be in apple slices, you know? All right. Looking good. I'm really making apple slices. And as you can see here, this happens a lot when you're growing your own vegetables. There was a worm that got in there, and it kind of made part of the fruit rot. I hope you can see that. Is it going to focus? I don't know. Is it too bright? I don't know. But you can just see there's like a little, I'm not going to use this part because of that. But worms can ruin you, okay? They can ruin everything. I'm going to cut those pieces off. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other wedges. Cut them very thinly. Make sure your fingers are clawed. You can cut these in any shape or size you want. I've done cubes before. Cubes will be easier to cut too. But it really doesn't matter. It's up to you and up to how you like the texture of your vegetables. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add this portion. And I'm going to stir. It looks really good, you guys. I wonder if you can see that. Okay. So I'm going to cut the rest. All right. Let's see. And you can also just, create slices. Usually that's how they are in squash casserole. They're just in big circles. But I think this is cute. We're going to work with this today. Then you can also do what I'm doing now, which is, slicing vertically, which is quicker and easier, actually. All right, adding that. And so they're just about as thin as the actual green beans themselves. All right. So now I'm going to stir this together. Now I'm going to add some salt. And what the salt is going to do is it's going to release some of the liquid, the water. It's going to pull out the liquid and water from the squash. And it's going to allow it to cook even further. It's going to allow it to, really disintegrate. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt. You can just good and stir. Make sure that's incorporated. And this is already smelling so good. So one way I'm going to flavor this, other than sauteing can really impart a really nice flavor to anything. I'm going to add herbs. I really love herbs. And I think that the herbs really allow this dish to shine. And it allows you to cook simply. Because herbs have so much flavor. Which is why we use them so much, right? So the herbs I'm going to use today, I made this spice mix earlier. Let me show you. I just took some spices from my cabinet and mixed them up. Okay? And we're going to add this a little later. Make sure you keep washing your squash. But in that spice mix are herbs like rosemary, thyme leaf, chives, things that you absolutely can grow in your garden. Which, that's the best part. You can grow everything. You can grow thyme, of course. And what you can do is you can pick the thyme, allow it to dry, maybe out on a counter or in the sun. And then you can kind of crumble the leaves off into a jar. And there you go. It's dried thyme. You can do the same with rosemary, which is in this mix. You can do the same with chives. Chop them up first. Let them dry in the sun. Or on your counter. So this is looking really good. Adding that salt really helps to draw off the moisture, which allows it to cook a little bit faster. So this is really awesome. It's looking so good, you guys. And just to think, we grew all of this in our garden, right? And remember, these are summer vegetables. And so if you still feel like you want to get started and you have some yard space, or if you have a pot on your porch that your parents aren't using, ask your parents, hey, can I grow a squash plant? Can I grow a green bean plant? It's not too late because it's still the summer season, okay? And so now it's releasing water, and so it's not burning, it's releasing water, and it's mixing with the oil, so it's not gonna, the squash isn't gonna stick to the pan or anything like that. Okay, so we're gonna saute that. I'm gonna put this, while this is going, I'm gonna stay really close because it's really important that you're close to your stove while you're cooking anything. I'm just gonna put this in a bowl for compost. And basically, that means I'm going to reuse the parts that I'm not using, and they're going to become soil that I can use for my plants in the future. So, I'm going to put this over here. Rinse my hands. All right. So again, this is looking awesome. And again, I have tomatoes in my fridge. I have okra. If you've never had okra before, it is very different, and I encourage all of you to try it. But you can really switch this up. You can really switch this up. It can always be different. And if you always have green beans, I know a lot of you have had green beans before. This is a good way to switch it up because you like the green beans, but what about the squash? So it's a way to try new things while having things you're already familiar with. Okay. So this is looking really nice and very pretty. I'll say colorful. The yellow and the green. So squash is very interesting. There's different types of squash. As you can see, as you saw, I already have the lemon squash, and basically, it's basically an oblong shaped squash. And squash tend to be yellow, but they can range in colors. They can be orange. They can be different colors. But summer squash comes in different shapes and even colors and varieties. So there's patty pan squash, which looks like a mini squashed pumpkin. There's zucchini, which we're very familiar with, the green vegetable that looks sort of like a cucumber. Um, Usually the cucumber will never have the hat that a zucchini has. So a zucchini will have that little um, what is it? The stem that's thick at the top, and that's the hat. And maybe I have one I can show you. Let me see. I do have one, but I actually don't have one that has the hat. But cucumbers never have the hats, you know. Um, and this can be a side dish for anything. It could be for breakfast. It could be for lunch. What are your favorite vegetables? Mine are definitely tomatoes, peppers, and okra. I'll say that. I think you guys know that by now. But what are yours? And I'm always looking forward to trying different things so that my palate may change. I may change my mind. So I'm always looking forward to that. All right, so this is looking really good. So now what we're gonna do is it's at the stage where I want it. It's soft. It's been about 5 to 10 minutes. It's been sauteing. I'm gonna go ahead and add my spice mix. And this will give it a lot of flavor. There's a little bit more salt in here. I added a little bit to kind of release the juices, but this is going to be the final seasoning, okay? Um, Again, there's herbs in here: rosemary, thyme, chives, paprika, salt and pepper. And so that's going to give it a wonderful flavor. And so, mind you, this is still on medium heat. We're going to go ahead and add some of this spice mix. And you can use any spices and herbs you want. I think herbs are very important to use here because you can grow them. You can grow them in conjunction with your squash and green beans if you want. But also, there are more vegetables you're adding to your food. It's a great excuse to add more. It's like saying there's nothing but vegetables in here aside from the oil. And it gives it a wonderful color. It looks so beautiful right now. I'm going to show you a close-up when it's done. Or maybe I can show you a close-up now. Let me try to show you a close-up now. The color is amazing. It was already amazing before, but now it's even better because there's specks of red. There's the herb colors. The herbs are speckled throughout. It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. So I'll say we'll go about 2 more minutes on this and then we'll try it. All right. So this is really nice. All right. This looks really good. So I'm going to taste a bit of it to make sure that it's salted the way I want it to be. You always have to check the seasoning. So I'm going to rinse this spoon. I'm going to put it to the side here. Let it cool a bit. Keep stirring. This is so beautiful, you guys. And I have a serving platter I'm going to use. I'm going to get a serving platter. It's so beautiful. Okay, I have a serving platter I'm going to use for it. That's it. I should have prepared that before, but it's okay. So let's try it first to make sure the seasonings are good. This is the best part, you guys. It's trying your vegetables. So it's very soft, which is good. And if you like your vegetables crunchy, um, saute it for a shorter period of time. So looks so good. Okay, let's try it. Wow, there's enough salt. It is so flavorful. Rosemary is the first herb that I taste, and I love rosemary. But if you don't love rosemary, definitely choose herbs that you haven't tried before or that you know you would love, especially when you're trying new vegetables. So I would say this is about done. And I'm going to give you one more close up because it's beautiful. The colors are amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully pour everything into a serving platter and be very careful. This may be a little heavy for you, so use two hands or get help from your parents. Okay. We turned off the heat. Okay. So this is our final dish. Look at that. Garden fresh green beans and squash. It's gorgeous. And this side dish you can have with some chicken. You can have with anything. You can have it by itself. It's so delicious. I'm really proud of this, mostly because I grew it myself. And I hope that you all take the time and initiative to actually grow something yourself. You may find it just as rewarding as I find it. Um, so yeah, this is going to be my lunch. I'm going to have a portion of this for my lunch. Um, and I'm super excited, you guys. But that's all I have for today. I think that we've had such a great time gardening together. You saw me go to Lawrenceville. You saw me harvest some vegetables. You saw me cook them. You saw me planting some seeds for you guys. I hope that you can take some wonderful tips and tricks from everything that we've done so far. And I hope that you've been having fun at home. Things are a little crazy right now, but it's good to do things like this to preoccupy your time and also to make sure that you're eating healthy, staying healthy while you're at home. So thank you guys so much for joining me for What's for Lunch, and I will see you soon. Okay, y'all have a good one.